So there are a few ways to structure a low ticket funnel, but one of the most common and one of the most successful ones for us is going to be to drive traffic directly to a sales page. That's going to be a very long form sales page where you're going to put a lot of sales copy on there in order to sell your, let's say, $7 to $97 products. Now, I'm not going to get really in depth in this video about how do you know the pricing of the product and how do you even know what products you create in order to make sure you don't cannibalize your high ticket products or services. But the important thing here is that whatever you're selling, whatever you're doing here, let's say it's going to be $7, you want the value of what you're selling and the amount of energy that you're using to sell that product to be 10 to 100 times that amount. So you need to imagine that you're selling something for $700 to this total stranger, not just $7, because that's how much energy is required to get somebody to pull out their credit card and actually type it in on a sales funnel that they may have just found out of 2 seconds ago. And so a lot of people I see, because they're charging $1, $5, 10, 20, 30, 40, $50, they think, oh, it's just $50, then I don't have to put a lot of time, energy, and effort into it. But I can tell you that of all the funnels out there, the low ticket funnel is probably the one that requires the most amount of energy or effort in order to get it to work. Okay. And there's a lot of pros and cons I'll talk a little bit about later. But the main thing here is don't underestimate the amount of sales copy, the amount of research, the length of the video sales that are on the sales page itself, the amount of social proof and testimonials you need to sell something for $7. If people like what they see on your sales page, they'll typically enter in their name, email, and phone number or some combination of that, and they're going to go over to the checkout page. A good sales page conversion rate to get them to the checkout page is typically around 20 to 30%, meaning that if you have 100 people land on your sales page, you should have about 20 people land on your checkout page. And on your checkout page, you're kind of modeling some of the same stuff that you talked about on your sales page, but it's obviously going to be way much more of a summary. It's way more condensed, and you actually have the checkout element where people can put in their, credit card information, shipping address in order to purchase that product. Now, in a really great low ticket funnel, you're typically going to have something called a order bump. And this is going to be one or two things that you're putting on the checkout page that somebody can buy in addition to the main thing you sold them on that first page. I'm going to walk through my low ticket funnel here in a moment, but just to give you an example in real life, this is like when you're checking out at your local grocery store and they have all of those candies or sweets or whatever at the checkout counter, and they're always like whatever, $1 or $3 or $7. And so it's an easy impulse buy if you just throw it on the belt and buy it right then and there. That's kind of like an order bump. They're trying to get you to spend just a little bit more money for $2 or $3 more, which is nothing to you, but for every single person that comes in there, if they pay $2 or $3 more, that company could make, depending on the traffic, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, or even billions more every single year from that additional $2 or $3 charge. A good checkout page should convert somewhere around 30%. Once again, these numbers you have to take with a grain of salt because it varies greatly, the product, the service, and also how warm or cold the traffic is. But let's just say 30% roughly is what your checkout page should convert at from people that actually land on the page that then purchase your products. The order bump conversions are going to vary based on how many that you have and what price points they are. But I almost always recommend, no matter what price point the core product is, you have a $97 order bump. And we've seen that convert as high as 30%, which means that I am adding roughly $30 more to my average order value every single time somebody purchases, let's say, a $7 thing from me because of that order bump. And let's talk really quickly about average order value, because that's probably the thing that will make or break your low ticket sales funnel more than anything else. And your average order value is essentially how much money do you make on average for every single time somebody purchases something from you. So if you're selling something for $7, well, we don't want to just get $7 from that person. We want to try to extract out as much money as we can from that person as possible while obviously still providing value. So for me, I've had some $7 sales funnels, $7 products have $60 to $80 average order values, which means that if I didn't add these additional elements I'm going to walk through in a little bit, like the order bumps, the OTOs, and the DOTOs, then I would be getting literally 1/10 of the amount of money that I could per person.
If you want my help installing any of these systems in your business done for you, be sure to book a call with my team down below.